Good evening everyone and welcome to today's stream. A little bit of a change from usual timings because it's so dang hot here. So that's why we're starting a little bit later tonight, but if anything that just means it's going to be extra chill because, I mean, I've already had dinner for one thing, so I won't spend the second half of the stream feeling super hungry, so that's something. Thank you so much to Queerbird for the resubscription, that's incredibly kind of you, and thank you to Evernight Arcana and Lord Patatas for the follows, and hello everyone in chat. As you can see today, we have a lovely new Tiefling character to work on. I've finished and had the sketch approved. So today what we're going to be doing is we are going to get cracking with line art. And indeed, yes, tieflings. Every other stream is a tiefling. That's how we do around here. So as you see, this is a winged tiefling or variant tiefling. I can't remember which source book it was that those came in, but anyway. So we're going to work on, as you can see I already have like a bajillion layers going on, but we're going to flatten all that down. So first things first, we can take away that little bit of shade there, which is kind of just to show the character's silhouette. I think that's a unused layer there. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take the rest of those sketch layers, see them there. We are just going to go ahead straight away and merge all of those together and turn down the opacity so it's just fairly faint on our canvas, and then we actually need to resize our canvas. It's already quite large because we've got these wings. It's kind of adding to the width of the piece, which means we're going to have to give it a little bit of extra width than I usually would. So we're going to go up to 4K and see how that treats us. It's probably going to take, oh, it didn't take as long as I expected it would to resize, which is good. And then we can just go along and get on with the line art. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to rename the sketch layer and the shadow layer, just so I don't lose track of what's what. And, oops, we're going to make a new layer for the line art. And of course we are going to name it line art, unsurprisingly, and set it to multiply. Next thing to do is to grab our line art color. I usually go for just a grey that's about 2/3 down. And that'll do us just fine. And then as for our brush, we are going to be using the general brushes, the ones that come with Photoshop. The fourth one down is called Hard Round Pressure Size. And then in your brush settings, you want to go ahead and make sure that transfer is turned on with pen pressure linked to both your opacity and flow jitter. This will make it a lot easier for you. I was wondering, thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah, I was curious to see if people would like a slightly later starting time. I know it suits some people's schedules a bit better, other people not so much, so this will be a bit of a test run, and if people really like it, then, you know, we can always switch things up. Hey, Versi says, welcome as well. I hope you enjoy the stream. And yeah, we're just going to get started right away with this line art, starting with the forehead and the brow. I always start with the face doing line arts. I don't know why. I just do. It's good to turn the opacity down a tiny bit more. And yeah, we're just going to continue down the cheek there. And now, fingers crossed, I seem to have mostly fixed the problems I was having with my tablet earlier this week. Occasionally, the kind of line skipping comes back sometimes, but for the most part, it seems to sort of be okay. Oh, Tilly17, wonderful. I'm very pleased that you got the alert, and welcome. And yeah, we're just going to keep this very light. I'm also actually using a new version of Photoshop. I realized before, I always thought I'd been using the most up-to-date Photoshop CC. Turned out I'd actually been using Photoshop CC 2019 most of the time, which is really weird. And that was one of the problems I was having. And then I had to go in and like add an extra line of code in some of the source files, and it was weird. But we fixed it in the end, sort of. Like I say, it still messes up occasionally, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was at the start of this week, so I'm grateful for that. Oh, ever so slightly, awesome. Well, we'll see how we go, Yeah, someone was telling me that one of the new Photoshop updates makes it have like 2 versions of the software running at once, which seems super weird. No idea why we want to do that, but hey, here we are. I'm just gonna go and add the little a little bend of her neck in there before we switch down to a slightly smaller brush to work on her facial features. Starting with the lips and working our way back up. Sylvig, thank you so much for the sub. That is very, very kind of you. Thank you so very much. Did I manage to get my pen issues fixed? I think so. I still have the skipping issue from time to time, but the earlier this week, like every other line I would do, it would leave big gaps in the line, which seemed super weird. So in the end, I updated Photoshop and I did like a little manual bit of code that was recommended to me by Devon Rue on Twitter. Very, very grateful for that assistance. And that seems to have helped. I believe it was a problem with Windows interfering with its own kind of WinTab settings with Wacom's drivers, but fingers crossed that won't be too much of an issue now. Oh, Cyberspectre, thank you so much. Yeah, I just love fighty tieflings. They're so much fun to paint. Alright, nice gentle lines around the facial features. We don't want them to be too heavy. In fact, I think I'm going to go down to a 5 as we work on the eyes. Oh, Pixel Linguistic, thank you so much. Oh, Frosty says, yeah, like usually I stream a lot earlier, obviously, in the day, but it's just been so hot in the UK that it doesn't really start getting cool until about this time in the evening for us, so I figured let's do a later stream, better than no stream at all. And yeah, I understand like obviously these timings work better for some people and not so well for others, so we'll see going forward. Just thickening up that top bit of the eye just a little bit. We'll add some details and eyelashes in a little bit. Just popping in the rough shape of the iris there. A lot of this stuff I will be fixing this up as I go along. And yeah, Devon Rue seems like a really lovely person. I'm very grateful for their assistance in said tablet issues. Oh, Tilly17. Honestly, I like, depending on what kind it was, it's probably fine. I could probably tell you right now, actually. Hang on, I'll finish doing his eyes and then I'll have a look. I have like a massive spreadsheet with all the commissioners on it. Which lists all the types based on when they submitted the forms, so now just finish these eyes. Again, I am barely touching the canvas when I am doing this sort of line art. Like, it's very, very gentle. A nice kind of aggressive expression on the scale. The only bad thing about streaming at this time of day is I have just eaten dinner, so I am slightly sleepy. But that's okay, it's just gonna make us have an extra chill stream, you know? Angie face. Yeah, it's looking okay. I'm just gonna put, again, a little bit more weight on this side. And then, Tilly, I'll just have a quick look for you. Yeah, we do love an organised spreadsheet here. Let's have a look. What would you have? I'm trying to think what people's email addresses would have been. Oh, hold on. Tilbury. Crewbird, yeah, I'm not sure, but possibly. Like, there was a lot. Are you doing something different, RE, ink brush transparency? Not really. I would say what I'm doing is, again, this is a slightly different version of Photoshop to what you've seen me using last time. Till Britain, yes, because you switched to a ref sheet. So yes, you have a ref sheet, and I'll probably be emailing you about it very soon because I am this close to finishing the last ref sheet. But yes, thank you so much, Shizzy Art, for the gift in chat. That's very, very kind. Pixel Linguistic, enjoy your sub. But yes, this is a slightly different version of Photoshop to what I've been using recently. So it might be that, again, like something has changed with my pressure. That hasn't really gone back to normal, so it's a slightly lighter touch which is why it's looking slightly less opaque than usual. Which in some ways works. I mean, it works okay for me. It was a bit annoying at first, but I got used to it. Now we've got some really cool kind of twisty horns for this character. I love painting interesting tiefling horns. And then I'm just going to grab an eraser tool just to keep the sides nice and clean as I go along. And continuing up here. There we go. Nice twisty horns. Funky teeth horns are the best, it's very true. Let's just go ahead and do the other one. Oh, that reminds me, I started playing the new Pokemon game, the MOBA, Pokemon Unite, the other day, and it is really fun. Like, for a little free-to-play Pokemon game on the Switch, I'm actually having a blast with it right now. Really, really recommend. If you need something easy, well, kind of easy, something quick and chill to play with quite an enjoyable feedback system, so I definitely recommend it. Oh, Frumpkin the Faking, welcome. Oh, I'm very pleased you're able to join us. That's lovely. Well, quite a few people seem to have said that the later time works for them, so maybe in future I'll have one stream, or on one day I'll stream at 5, and then on other days I can stream at 8. It is easier in the summer to stream when it's a little bit cooler. I don't know if anyone in chat also streams, but when you've got like a headphone on, you've got lights shining at you, like, it gets hot, and it doesn't even need to be a hot day to get hot. This character also has a really cool hairstyle, which is like kind of these Dutch braided braids with lots of little accessories kind of popped in, which we'll be lining as we go down. How often do I get commissions where the person has a sketch? Do you mean as in they kind of already have a sketch prepared, or as in they just want the sketch stage? Because at the moment, I mean, I've never really done a commission type where I've said, yeah, I'll just do the sketch and you can do the rest. But if it's something people will be interested in, I know it'd be a slightly cheaper option. You could do your own line art and stuff. Then, you know, I could consider doing it. Yeah, this character has a lot of cool texture with the horns and the braid designs. And I love myself some cool texture. Oh yeah, I also got sucked into playing Monster Hunter Stories 2, which came out, I think it came out last week, and that game is also really fun. Alright, we have some horns. Oh, congratulations, Tilly, that's so wonderful. Oh, I'm really happy for you. Congrats. That's just really nice. It's nice to hear some good news. Oh, they have prepped a sketch. Never actually. I have never had a situation where a commissioner already has a sketch ready to go for me just to go in with lines. And I guess the reason for that is, like, a lot of an artist's style comes right from the beginning, right from when they're doing the sketch. So I guess a lot of people I've had commission me kind of want, you know, they're interested in, like, my take on their character, like my style of their character. So me doing the sketch is like part of the process. There we go, there's one of these little braids. Just gonna add a few little extra lines, give it some texture, and weave it in with the rest. And then of course we've got another braid up top. Which is coming in like so. So we need to make sure hair is feeding into both of these braids. But yeah, sorry for not streaming on Wednesday, but it was just too darn hot. It was so hot, even my D&D game was cancelled, so I promise it wasn't just you folks missing out. Okay, there are some tops of braids. We'll just do the tails now. I'm just gonna go over that line art a little bit. Yeah, let's work down the braids. So we have a few accessories going on. This one has some cute little rings in the braid itself, which I'm probably gonna do once I've got the basic structure down. So braids always start with this sort of zigzag pattern. At least that's how I always do them. And once you've got that zigzag pattern, I usually will start from the top and then add kind of little curves to those outsides to join the lines together, and you get your braid. Obviously this one's going to have some extra details, but we'll do those in a second. Also, I finally started watching The Witcher this week. I actually hadn't watched the Netflix series yet, so I felt super left behind. And they announced obviously season 2, so I'm like, I've got to watch season 1. Right, let's put a little bit of detail in here. Whoops, didn't mean to draw a random line up there. A lot of these kind of textural lines are kind of superfluous. We'll get a lot of the texture in the paint stage, so I'm not too worried right now, especially because they're quite small. Okay, dokie. So let's start adding in some of these accessories. I'm going to jump down again to that 5 that we were using earlier, and just put in some of these little metal decorative rings. One more. Okay, and then we've got a few lines that we've just drawn over, which looks a little ugly, so I'm going to go down, grab a small eraser, and just clear the path. Also, I apologize if there's like a slow humming sound. My fan is on, so that's probably why it's a bit loud. Oh yeah, a lot of little details on this tiefling. Okie dokie, so going back up to a 6 now. Actually no, we'll stay at a 5, because we've got a few little details to pop in, such as the feathers. Like so. I'll give them a little bit of texture again, but most of the texture is going to come through in the paint stage. And then, obviously, we've got the little tail of the braid here to pop in. Thank you so much, the Bean Beanson, for the subscription. That is very, very kind of you. And then just those little kind of brushy bits at the bottom of a braid. My hair is finally long enough to braid now, so I should probably know the terms for these things. Wunderbar. Okay, with that done... we've got another feather here, so I'm going to put that in next. Just kind of peeking out. And then, same as before, just popping in a little bit of texture here and there. Enjoy your game of D&D, Bean Beanson. I hope you have a wonderful time. There we go, you can see what it's looking like now without the sketch underneath. And now let's tackle the other braid. Now we will jump back up to a 6. So again, we do this sort of zigzagging line, with each line starting about halfway up the previous one for the basic kind of construction of the braid. And then nice kind of loopy curvy lines to join it all up. Aimless Wanderings, like, coming from an artist, I promise you they will absolutely love everything you do. It fills me with complete joy whenever I get art of my characters. No matter what, it just makes me so happy. I would love to commission artists more than I currently do, but unfortunately I just do not have the funds to do so. Otherwise I would totally be commissioning all my favourite artists to draw my characters. And I'd probably have more time to draw my own characters. Oh, call me Kramer, wonderful. Oh, I'm pleased that you're able to stop by. Definitely a lot of arguments for streaming a bit later, huh? And happy Friday, indeed. It is basically the weekend now. Well, for those of us on this side of the pond it is. I suppose those of you in the US might still be in working hours right now, so in which case, you're almost there. Keep going. I believe in you. I should do art trades. My own problem with it is, with art trades is, because I have to prioritize paid stuff, I'd feel awful if my partner was waiting forever. That's why I haven't done art fight this year. I just haven't had time. It's the same reason I don't draw my own OCs or do fan art as much as I'd like to. But the good thing is, all of you folks have gorgeous characters, so at least I get to paint them, and they are very lovely. Case in point, this wonderful tiefling. Right, just gonna pop the neck in there, and we'll kind of see some of the hair being drawn up into the hairstyle up there. I'm also going to take this opportunity just to make the line of that side of the cheek ever so slightly harder so it's not getting lost. And I'm going to save because I don't want to lose everything we've been working on. Yeah, a lot of my friends are doing art fight and seeing the things they've drawn and had drawn for their characters are just so cool. And no, I haven't changed my hair. What I have done is I've changed my room. So it was so hot on Monday, so it was 36 degrees in here, Celsius. So, and my office space where I stream and where I do all my work didn't have any curtains, which was one of the reasons it got so darn hot. Because obviously there was nothing keeping the morning sun out because it shines directly onto this part of the house. So in a sort of a fit of desperation on Tuesday, I went out to our local kind of like shopping center. I grabbed some curtain poles and curtains and spent the next few hours DIYing them up. And now I have lovely blackout curtains in my office, which means my lighting for streaming is better, which is great. And yeah, that's why my hair looks darker, because I haven't got a whole shit ton of sunlight coming in and blasting me. Means I can control my lighting a little better. So yeah, I naturally have very dark hair. It's because half my family is from Ireland. Alright, so we got more of the little rings in here. I'm going to give some of them some extra pizzazz. They're going to have little charms on them. Oh my goodness. Oh, Gaia and Neopets. Wow, that's taking me back. Alright, now I'm just going to be adding a few of these little charms. They are like little feathers or little leaves, I suppose. So, very small, very little, very little. Oh, I really want to play some more Pokemon tonight. It's so easy, like as soon as a new Pokemon game comes out, I'll be completely sucked into it for like the next few days. I'm such an easy victim for these sorts of free-to-play but by cosmetic style games. Alright, there is the hair with all the lovely kind of accessories and bits and bobs going on. So with that done, we can start to move on to the rest of the character, and I'm going to begin with her shirt. So I'm going to jump back up to a 6 for now, and just start gently lining the collar of the shirt. Now this character, I believe, in the kind of commission info, I was told they have a sort of slightly kind of Slavic-esque armor style, which is why we've kind of got the bodice shape here, and we're going to have some nice patterns. These patterns that you can see down here, I'm not actually going to make them part of the line art. That's kind of just so I don't forget later that they're meant to have a nice Slavic kind of embroidery pattern on them. Oh, the vampire vibes. Yeah, the vampire vibes are definitely exacerbated by the lighting. Also the fact that I have skin so pale and sickly that it's almost transparent. Even though I was out all weekend, I do not tan. Try as I might, I just burn. My skin goes the colour of, you get like, so you know squashies, the sweets, or drumstick lollies I suppose, which have like the bright pink and then the white. That's what my sunburn looks like. It's like bright pink against white where I haven't been burned, and then it'll just go this nasty, sickly, dead flesh purple colour and then go back to super pale, so... Squishy solidarity. Hey Equinox4, welcome. But yes, it will certainly make, when I can do streaming of D&D campaigns again, it'll make that a lot easier to kind of play with lighting, and I can eventually get a green screen when I can afford to kind of buy some more streaming kit, because wouldn't that be fun? Oh, where's that side of the collar gone? I don't know. I'm just going to have to draw that in and make it up as I go along. Clearly when I was doing the sketch, I forgot and was like, there's no collar past this side of the hair. Don't be silly. There we go. Can't believe I forgot that. Very, very silly of me. Okay, now we'll continue with the side of the bodice. Of course, we have these cute little pauldrons as well, so they'll be going on in a second. Am I going to stream games? So I have done a bit in the past. In terms of just video games, I like to stream Stardew Valley from time to time. It's nice and chill. I used to do quite a lot of Dungeons & Dragons actual play streaming. I haven't done it for a couple of years because I've been so busy with the freelancing, but I really want to get back into it very soon. I had plans to before Christmas, and then there were scheduling conflicts and blah blah blah, but it is very much my intention to do some D&D streaming again because I love doing it, and I've always loved the kind of the acting side of D&D, the voice acting, the emotion. It's so much fun. So I'd like to do it again for sure. Okay. Alright, so we've got the kind of collar area down. I'm just going to pop in a tiny little line to help me kind of later for constructing where the collarbone area is. That's what we're looking like at the moment. Oh, what voices are used for characters? Oh my goodness, all sorts. I had to teach myself to do a proper French accent the other day because one of the Vampire the Masquerade LARPs, well, I'm only technically part of one LARP group for Vampire the Masquerade, but I play a lot of different characters for it. I have a character who is a French gangrel elder, and she has an accent, and that was a lot of fun. I adore playing her. Her name's Mallory. I've very occasionally done some art of her, time to time. There's probably more art of her on my Tumblr from ages ago. I often do Irish accents, is probably my most common one because I find it the easiest. Sometimes I'll do a Devonshire accent. That wasn't really Devonshire, was it? The only thing about doing a Devonshire accent is I'm better at it when I'm not thinking about it because I grew up in Devon, so... Challenge stream of narrating it in one of my characters' voices. That would be quite funny, especially if I adopted their mannerisms as well. Obviously, Reza, my Tiefling barbarian, she had an Irish accent. I also have my Zemichi VTM character. She's from Slovenia. I have a lot of characters. Alright, so that's one pauldron done. I might as well just work our way down here and do this whole arm for now while we're here, actually. Just gonna do just a little bit of fabric, kind of the leather for the bodice, just crinkling up a tiny bit around the base of the arm there. Oh, I forgot it's Friday. That means new episode of the Bad Batch today. How wonderful. Love Bad Batch, or as it should be known, the Dad Batch. So a little strap down here to attach the pauldron to the body. Yeah, it's Bad Batch Day. Ugh. I won't say any spoilers because it's really worth watching. I didn't think much of the concept at first, like, I just wasn't really that bothered by the idea, but I started watching it and, oh, holy heck, it's really good. Definitely recommend Bad Batch. I change, like, what I call it, like, every time. Sometimes it's the bad bitch, sometimes it's the dad batch, sometimes it's the bitch batch. It kind of depends on what happens episode to episode, you know? Bad Batch is a sort of continuation of the Clone Wars TV show, the animated show on Disney+. It is very, very good, and just great. You know, if you enjoy Clone Wars, you'll definitely enjoy this. Alright, let's get those sleeves in. I'm just gonna do this band. I'm not gonna go into details with the details. I'm gonna keep it fairly simple for now. Yeah, the Clone Wars series is wonderful. I really like it. That's true, Unicorn Dude. Like, if you haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, it has a much... I imagine it has a different feel to it because they do a lot of callbacks and references. Also some Mandalorian references as well, which is really cool because I love the Mandalorian. So if you like Star Wars and you've watched a lot of the other things, then you'll probably enjoy it. Alright, now here we have a nice little kind of leather bracer, which is ending kind of here because you can see there's some scars from, I believe the detail I was told was this character was attacked by an owlbear. So they have some scars of that encounter. Yeah, some of the episodes are fantastic. Like, there's so many wonderful moments, and just, it has a lot of heart, which I love. I think that's one of the things I loved about Rebels, is it has so much, not wholesomeness, but like heart. It's hard to describe, but I certainly recommend it. Right, I'm giving this a slightly kind of fluffy cuff, because why not? No one can stop me. Well, the commissioner could, but... Yeah, Rebels, the thing I like about the Bad Batch, actually, is it feels a lot like a D&D party, or you know, a Star Wars Edge of the Empire party. Because they have all of the roles, and it's really fun. No, you don't have to watch the animated Clone Wars. It gives you a bit more context for what's going on. But if you know generally what happens in the Clone Wars movie, you're probably okay. It's just that the Bad Batch are actually introduced in Clone Wars as characters. Again, you don't need to have seen it. And you don't need to have seen Rebels, but I think like there's a lot of moments that if you are a Rebels fan or Mandalorian or Clone Wars, you go, oh shit, that's so-and-so. This is really cool, tied together. It's like a spider web of Star Wars Dave Filoni goodness. And I appreciate my spiderwebs of Dave Filoni goodness, so you know. Alright, hand drawing time. Thankfully, I gave myself some nice sketch to work from, so paint drawing this hand will not be a pain. It pays not to be lazy when you're doing your sketch, because line art... yourself in the future drawing line art will hate you. Okay, that's the bulk of that hand. Oh, this character's just so cool. I love all the development she's had. Excuse me. Alright, that is one arm and hand. There we go. Time to work our way across to the other side. Most of my sketches are pretty lazy, to be fair. the reason that when I'm sketching for myself, my sketches are quite lazy. When I'm working on commissions, I tend to make them a bit tighter because the sketch stage is basically when I show a piece to the commissioner for approval. So I want it to kind of convey the idea of the piece nice and thoroughly, you know? Oh yeah, also, I haven't bought it yet. Has anyone tried the new Sims expansion yet that dropped yesterday? I was gonna get it, but then I went ahead and got Monster Hunter Stories, so I'm not allowed for at least till the end of the month when I've got a bit more money in my account. But I desperately want it because it's like proper cottagecore expansion, and that's everything I want out of a Sims expansion pack. Okay, that line's okay. Now we'll just do these kind of scales. I always love overlapping kind of scale leather. I wanna make some armor for myself with this sort of design one day. Oh, Goldby, thank you very much. Yeah, I tend to, I'm pretty, I say pretty tightly to my sketch lines. Usually I will, like, adapt things a little bit as I'm doing line art, but for the most part, I try to be fairly true to it. Alright, there is the bodice. Let's move across to the shoulder and work our way down the other arm. Oh yeah, Frasty says, the new Sims expansion, I think it's called Country Living or Cottage Living. It is adorable. You can keep farm animals, like create produce, enter vegetable growing competitions. It looks adorable. It's definitely the expansion I was waiting for. I'm not gonna buy it quite yet. I'm just gonna make sure this is about the right size. Yeah, it'll do. But also I need to add more people for the new Pokemon game because I need to play it with people. It looks really fun. Well, it is really fun, but it looks even more fun to play with friends. See, I fall in and out of love with The Sims 4. I say that I'm not bothered, and then I'll jump into it for half an hour and then be hooked and buy another 2 expansions. And the most recent expansion basically is just fed everything I wanted from it, so... I tend to make a lot of my D&D characters in The Sims as well. And then just watch the shenanigans. And then I will record it and take lots of screenshots and send it to my party members. And it's a very enjoyable form of entertainment. Especially when they start like forming romances and you're like, oh, so-and-so's dating so-and-so, who saw that coming? I'm sorry, I'm just there for all of the angst and drama when it comes to my D&D OCs. Alright, let's just keep working our way down the arm. We're making good progress. Yeah, it's funny, like, I'm exactly like that. I'm like, ugh, I can't be bothered to play Sims today, but then I get absolutely sucked back into it. I do blame my current D&D party mostly for that though, because they definitely influenced me to get back into it this year. Alright, I might actually make this band just a little bit thicker. Yep, that's looking looking okay. Now we'll move down and do this other bracelet. Thank you so much to Aura Titanite, I hope I said that right, and Draws Randomly Fully Follows. I hope you enjoy the stream. Yeah, I feel a bit bad, like, the last few weeks my streams haven't been super regular, so I've definitely lost a bit of engagement. But now the heat has subsided and I'm a bit less frantically busy. Hopefully I can get back on track and go back to 2 weekly streams. I was planning to stream yesterday, but honestly, the news about current game industry stuff just sent me into a bad mood, and you should never stream on a bad mood. Also, it was still really hot yesterday. Too hot. Oh, Frostpunk's meant to be really good. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. Alright, we've technically got a bit of a join coming up here, so let's just work that in. Oh yeah, I also obviously, since I last streamed, I went to Fantasy Forest, which is where I took some of those photos from the weekend. It was super fun. It was incredibly hot. Could not believe I spent all day wearing a proper floor-length, fully arm-covered gown and corset without completely overheating myself. But I got some really cool stuff there, actually. I got some LARP kit for my partner, these really cool scaled leather braces, got this beautiful painted leather feather necklace, which is like a magpie's feather, and it was just a great time, and there was some fantastic like live folk music, kind of like a kind of folk pagan festival, and it was just such a great time. Definitely recommend if you're in the UK. Makes me really, really hungry for LARP season to come back. I miss hanging out in a field with my friends, drinking mead, dressed up to the nines in fantasy randomness. And threatening people with necromancy, and they annoy me. Oh, that sounds really cool. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you guys in the US, you get so much more in the way of, like, Ren fairs than we do over here. What I went to this weekend was essentially our version of a Ren fair. And I really love those kind of festivals. I wish we had them more. Now, the idea of this dagger is the hilt is kind of meant to be like a piece of antler, which is why it has all these kind of grooves and patterns on it. It was great, because at the end of the evening there was like, there's this beautiful effigy of a phoenix, like very Wicker Man style, and throughout the day you could go up to it and like write a wish on one of the feathers of the wings, and then at like 9 PM in the evening they set light to it, and it was like really cool, this huge phoenix going up in flame. Very cool. Oh yeah, they didn't have jousting, but they did have some really cool melee stuff. So they had these, like, it was like I think it was like a fairly local reenactment group. They were going at it with like sword and buckler, longsword. They had a variety of different weapons they would take turns between. And I was like, oh hell, these people are so cool. And then at the end of the bout, like, they both took off their helmets, and they were both these super buff, amazing looking ladies, and I was like, oh my heart, these people are beautiful. And they could murder me so easily. Alright, there is a little knife. So now we can continue making our way down the costume. It was so good. My heart for a lady knight. outline this belt buckle. Sometimes I like to do the belts and the kind of top level details first and then work out underneath of it. Pride Nights is really cool. Yeah, I've seen that one a couple of times. Okay, and then we've got a twisted tail over here. There we go. And then finally the tail just coming down here. And then just add the little hills. There we go, there's the belts. Looking cute. Quietly fair, I think that's a lot of our dreams, let's be honest. Although I have convinced my partner to join me at Empire if it runs in September, so that's very exciting. Ugh, long smooth lines are my enemy. Same. Like I started doing Ring Fit Adventure again. I bought it like at the start of quarantine, and then I managed to get back into it for about 2 weeks, and then the heat wave hit, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Not today. It's too hot. And now I've done the thing again where you don't do it for for a week and a bit, and that's that. I need to get back into it so bad. Ugh. Alright, that's the side of the belt coming around. Okay, I'm gonna make a new layer underneath. I'm not gonna bother naming it because eventually we are gonna go squish all these down into each other, just to get these lateral lines in without having to worry about going over other stuff. Okay. That's on the bar. Alright, now we can go in and remove the bits that are crossing in front of things they shouldn't cross in front of. Which isn't too many, thankfully. There we go. Can I see now how it's looking? We are getting there, in my professional opinion. Right, let's merge those two together. Annoying that they say layer 1, it didn't take the other name, but never mind. Elaran, welcome! Yes, today is a late stream indeed. Oh, Aimless Wanderings. Personally, I am a big Monster Hunter fan. Monster Hunter Stories has been my game this week to get me through the heatwave, and it has been super fun. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much, but it's adorable. I want to protect all the baby monsters. Breath of the Wild, classic, very, very good. Do enjoy that one. And yeah, I've heard very good things about Fire Emblem as well. My brother is a massive fan. Doing all these little kind of individual overlapping leather scales. Gotta make them look nice and sharp. Last few. Actually, I say that, there's quite a lot on there. Monster Hunter Stories is adorable, isn't it? It's so cute. From the moment I hatched my sweet baby Rathalos, I was like, I will protect this child with my life. Anyone who so much as dares to harm them will pay. There we go, that's that. I'm just gonna hint at the other side coming up there. Lovely, and then I think we'll just do the other side, keep things balanced. But yeah, Monster Hunter Stories is a lot easier than regular Monster Hunter, although Monster Hunter Rise isn't a very good Switch game as well. But it's more like a turn-based RPG than a whatever Monster Hunter is. I don't know what kind of game, what you would call regular Monster Hunter. Androgenius, sadly not, because usually I would have played on Wednesday, but it just was too hot. All the players were feeling a bit ill, so we called it off this week. Ready for next week when I will be continuing our campaign of Realm of the Frost Maiden. And my lovely, poor, suffering party will be facing off against the terrifying Cold Light Walkers, which are one of my favourite monsters in that brutal campaign. Highly recommend them if you want to make your players panic. Seriously though, it's a really fun campaign. Realm of the Frost Maiden is definitely one of my top picks in terms of pre-written campaigns. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. Oh, the NPC crushes. I don't know what's scarier actually, having an NPC crush your character or a PC crush, because in many ways a player character is in a lot more danger than an NPC. But you know, a PC hasn't got a strong survival instinct as a player controlling their own character, so I don't know. I've never actually had like an NPC crush for any of my characters. They've always been like other characters at the table my characters have ended up with. Right, let's continue that line up here. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. Just kind of like a gambeson type texture for these sort of tassets or skirt, whatever you want to call it, one of the two. Hey, Endless Wanderings, thank you so much for the sub. Oh, honestly, very, very grateful for that. Thanks to the heat, managed to lose a few days' work this week, and that and the tablet malfunctioning, so all the support is incredibly appreciated right now. Okay, now let's just do these bits. I like how it looks a bit like a quilt. I would like to see a D&D character whose armor is basically just a quilt their grandma made. Or maybe they are a grandma and they made quilt armor. That would be cute. And they're an artificer, but everything they artifice takes the form of like soft, like sewn or knitted goods. This is a character I now need to play. So funny story, I actually, well, it was slightly before we started going out, but my current partner, we kind of met when our characters had like an in-game romance in the first ever D&D game I played in. There's a little bit of Rachel trivia. There we go, that's better. Knitted greatsword sheath would be adorable, and instead of a helmet they just have, you know, one of those crochet helmets. It's just such a strong concept. Alright, there's our little studs in the armor there. It's so easy to see if we take off the sketch and get the detail in there. Let's go ahead and do the other side. Thankfully, it was a very, very sweet group. And I'd already known them for like a little while. Most of the time, in-game romance isn't really for me unless I really trust the people I'm playing with. Oh yeah, in my current games, like, I have a absolutely amazing D&D group and I love them to bits. And like, almost all the NPCs, I'm like, I would protect them with my life. That's not quite right, that needs to go down a bit deeper. There we go, that'll do. And we'll just chase this line back up here. And then do the kind of padded bits. But I still love how gambesons look like you're wearing a quilt. It's very soft. Soft aesthetic, I appreciate it. Cute. I love hearing cute stories. Alright, there's the other side of the battle skirt. Now we can work our way down through the rest of the armor. I'm just going to do a quick save so we don't lose everything. That would suck. So we've got a little skirt panel here. This is just going to be really simple. Whoops, that's Photoshop did a weird thing there. I'm not going to do any of the embroidery detail in the line art. That's all going to be in the paint layer. What I will do is this border. There we go. Do I want to do... Yeah, let's just put a tiny bit of kind of fabric creasing there, just kind of to show it is getting kind of cinched in by the waist and the layers on top of it. Okay, wonderful. Let's now move on to the leggings and the boots. Hey, Zero Sun Game, welcome! And Captain Morgan, how am I doing with the insane heat this evening? Well, I have a cute little desk fan, which is probably making a really annoying noise to everyone, set up right next to me, blowing my hair into my lipstick, so that's fun. But it is doing the desired job of cooling it down. And quite beautifully, it has actually cooled here a little bit in the UK now, and my office is now a steady 26 degrees rather than 36, so there is that. Which is much better. Oh good, you don't hear it. Wonderful, in which case it's doing extra good. Just a little bit of creasing there by the knees, just to kind of suggest that these are leggings and not, like, obviously nothing. Or tights, a bit thicker. And another thing you can do to kind of suggest that the character is wearing leggings is just to do a little side seam going up the edge. That can also have quite a flattering effect as well, so can be worth doing. Alright, now for the boots. I realize I've done almost all of this character in a size 6 brush, which is quite small. Which is kind of good, because it means the line art will be nice and crisp. Yeah, we finally have a breeze again, which is nice. We haven't really had much of a wind at all for the last few days, so the heat's been very stale and static. It's going to come around the top. And these are quite soft boots, which is why there's a lot of kind of wibbly lines. It's like a soft leather that's being cinched in by these extra little belts. So that's why there's a lot of creases going on. Is that a doggo I hear? Yes. My neighbour has a very loud doggo, and I've got all my windows open, which is why he is particularly noticeable this afternoon. Yeah. A lot of yappy pups in this neighbourhood. Sadly not my own pup, yet. Give me a year. And maybe we will have a little puppet on stream. Yeah, well the plan is I'm going to Japan next year for 2 weeks, just as a like a once in a lifetime type holiday, because holidays are expensive, and we haven't, myself and my partner, we haven't actually been on a big holiday since we got together. Like, we've only ever really kind of just been down to Cornwall, or actually that's kind of it. And some friends of ours are very good at getting cheap plane tickets, so we are going to Japan in February 2022. Assuming things are safe to do so, obviously, with COVID and all. But we also really want to get a dog at some point, and obviously it's best to do it after you go on a big several week holiday. So the idea is next year, sometime in summer maybe, we would like to get ourselves a little pupperoo, is the plan. And naturally they would have a little bed and everything up here in my room with me, so they could keep me company. Because the other thing is, obviously I do this every day, this is my job, freelance illustration. And my partner works in, kind of works at a sort of library. It'd be very complex to try and explain exactly what he does. Academic librarian is probably the closest thing I can give to describe what he does. But it means that I'm on my own all day, and it can get really quiet, which is also one of the reasons I stream, because it's nice to kind of chat to people. But Papa would also be very nice for companionship. Also, I'm very used to dogs. I mean, I grew up basically in a pack. My parents currently have 6, so I am, it's weird to not have a dog around. Okay, that's one leg. Let's do another one. Problem with legs, they come in pairs. Also, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who joined me today. Again, I'm sorry things haven't been super consistent lately, and Twitch loves consistency. But to everyone who stuck around and is watching today and joining me, even though I haven't been super frequent streamer lately, thank you so much. It honestly, it makes this worth doing. It's really tough to keep the motivation up sometimes with Twitch, because it's so engagement driven, and as soon as you don't have that, it's really demoralizing. So thank you all very much. Oh, sweet doggos. I love them so much. I'm such a dog person. How is your Goldie doing, Freya? I must know how is it Leia? I think they were Leia. Always remember doggo names. Oh my goodness, it's just our big papa. Ugh, I miss doggos. As soon as, if we do get a pup, you bet I'll be showing a lot of photos, and they will most certainly be guesting on every stream. Much like Omar in Matt Mercer's little kind of merch videos on Exandria Unlimited right now. Oh, Colby, thank you so much. Alright, we're nearly finished with this foot. Let's just get this boot done. Okay. A little bit, just extra shading along there. Oh, thank you so much, Cyber Spectre. That's so very kind of you. And thank you so much. You're always here, which just means so much to me. So thank you all so much. I have a truly wonderful wonderful chat, so thank you all very much. Oh yeah, it's very hard to stop picking them up when they get too big. Especially when they like it. like we don't really, my parents' dogs, we never really pick them up very much because smooth collies aren't a massive fan of being lifted. So it was only when like you absolutely have to you know, move them out of an unsafe area when they're puppies and get themselves in trouble and all sorts of stuff. But the dog I'd be looking at getting if we do that next year is a Swedish Valhund, which are very, very adorable. They're a bit like if you have a corgi but you give it the coat style of a husky or a Malamute. They are very, very adorable, very intelligent little dogs. And I don't really want to get a big dog because our little house isn't very, very big, and we don't have a huge amount of space. So, but yeah, Valhunds are beautiful, beautiful creatures. Okay, second boot complete. Wonderful. It's time to do a save, and then we shall do the kind of back of the skirt, the tail, and then we will start on the wings. Little stubby legs, yeah. Well, I absolutely adore corgis, but they're quite, because they're like a fashionable dog, you get a lot of genetic problems with them. And also they're incredibly expensive because like as soon as the dog becomes fashionable, they, for some reason, prices get ridiculous. And I've always kind of loved Valhunds, and because they're a slightly rarer breed, they don't have quite the same number of problems that the corgis can have, bless them. Alright, I'm nearly there now. Oh, hang on. There is in fact a crotch up here that I have completely neglected. Or at least the side of a thigh. So let's not leave that out. Oh my god, that's so adorable. Yeah, that's why I like, bless them. Pugs are gorgeous things, but they do have such a myriad of health problems because of the way they've been bred. So I always research very heavily into the genetics and breeding of a pup before I would ever get one, which has kind of just been drummed into me because my mum breeds smooth collies, which because they are an endangered breed in the UK, at least they were, I don't know if they are anymore. So I've kind of learned all the things to look for and how to make sure a breeder is like a responsible breeder and stuff. Okay, we are nearly there with this. There is the skirt. Let's do another save. Oh yeah, Zero Sum Game, that makes me shudder. Like, I love German Shepherds, but the nicest, healthiest looking German Shepherds to me are always the ones bred for working, that are like, you know, bred for their working purpose rather than to be show dogs, because like the arthritis they get in their backs from the horrible sloping spines, bless them, they run into severe complications when they you know become older than 7 years old because of how bad it is, and it just is really sad. Oh yeah, cat people, you are 100% valid as well. I love kitties. I love kitties too. I've just sadly never ever had one, so I never know what to do around a cat, and the cat knows this. My friends have a cat called Witten, who is adorable. Completely standoffish, does not like me, but I respect that. Alright, there's the tail. It's finally time to crack these luscious feral tiefling. Oh no, I forgot something. No, we need to do this little extra blade first, because this character has 2 daggers, not just 1. So let's just go ahead and do that now, shall we? thank you so much to Cheek Sherry Cola for the follow. I quite like organic style blades for this. This character is very kind of rangery, very outdoor survivalist. Yeah, quietly furry. It's really sad. I have no idea why people like it at all. Because it's really bad for them, bless them. Let's just give this thing a slightly nicer pommel, shall we? Without looking phallic, please. That's the difficult thing when it comes to daggers. You would believe how easy it is to make a dagger look incredibly phallic without trying. There we go. That'll do. That'll do us. Alright, now we can do the wings. Do I use references for posing? I absolutely do. This piece was 100% done from references. I use a variety of different types of reference. Sometimes I will use photos I've taken of like myself or my partner to get an exact pose that I want. Sometimes I will combine that with stock reference poses. There are a few stock artists I use. Adorka stock is one of them. Faye stock is another. And often what I'll do is I will end up like a Frankenstein pose. So for example, this leg position will be from one image, the arms, the hand positions, especially with hands because it's really good to go from direct reference for hands. It'll kind of be like a collage Frankenstein of photographs which I will then use as reference for the pose. But that's usually what I do. Androgynous. Do your commissioners always send you exact clothing refs or do they ever just tell you whatever in a more general direction? Both, honestly. This particular piece did not have specific clothing refs. What I had to go with was kind of sort of a Slavic-ish design with a sort of rangery, rugged look. And that was kind of it. I had a few, like a Pinterest board of inspiration images, but a lot of the time it's kind of like my own spin. What I will do is, obviously, you see this kind of sketch. I send that back to the commissioner for them to approve, and if they say, oh, I like it, but could you change the costume a little bit here and here, then I can do that. Obviously, the fewer references I'm given at the start, if people want major changes after having, you know, left it open to me, then I sometimes will have to charge a bit extra because it's kind of the point of you leaving it open to me. So it depends really, but like I get both. Sometimes I get exact reference sheets of the clothing they want their characters to wear, and that's honestly absolutely fine. Sometimes I don't, and I like both. Both options are good. Now let's do these wings. Pose references are very hard, but yeah, I really recommend Face Stock. They have a massive amount of stock images you can find both on PhotoBucket and DeviantArt. Adorka Stock is a very well-known one. Their work I've used for years and years. They've been on DeviantArt for like since the beginning, basically, and they still do great, fantastic stuff. Just a little bit of membrane connecting those two joints there, and we'll just have a little spike coming down here. Face Stock is really cool. There's a big variety on theirs. Like there's lots of good references of them using weapons, different kind of thematic posing. I use theirs quite a lot. Gosh, wings are always such a doozy to line and paint. I imagine this character probably has an open back to the breastplate, or the kind of the leather piece, and then a kind of a strip that buttons down at the back. That's what I'd do if I were them. Yeah, references do help a huge amount. Like, for the longest time, I hated drawing people because I just couldn't get it. I forced myself to start using references. In fact, I didn't even do that. So, the first time I really enjoyed drawing human or like humanoid characters, because beforehand, drawing like creatures and monsters was kind of my specialty. But the first time it really clicked for me was, I don't know if anyone here watched LA by Night, the VTM stream that was over on Geek and Sundry a while back. Well, I did some fan art of Erika Ishii's character, her Bruja, and that was the first time I'd drawn a human character and actually felt really proud about it. And basically because I used the cast members as reference for these pieces of fan art, and I was referencing them closely to make sure I got the likeness right, suddenly I just found it a heck ton easier to paint people. And that was kind of like the first time I'd really felt that, or had that sensation, if that makes sense. Thank you so much to Jackie Stan for the follow. Just very, very, very gently touching the tablet for these lines, keeping them kind of fairly airy for a reason. When I come to colour them, it's a bit easier if they're not super harsh lines. Alright, let's carry on down. And then finally kind of approaching that bottom knuckle. And then getting that nice little kind of hooked claw on the bottom. To make it a little sharper. Okay, just give you a little bit of texture there. That's alright. Like, until I start on these commissions, feel free to adjust your references as much as you need to. Things do change, and you know, it takes a few months sometimes to kind of get to everyone on the list. So I totally understand if things change, you need to add things, take away things. Your character died and you need to do a new character. Like, all understandable. How do I plan to use references for races such as Kenku and Tabaxi, especially for getting facial expressions and poses? Now that is a little bit more challenging. Things like Tabaxi aren't quite so hard because they kind of have a similar basic humanoid shape. Kenku a little harder because of obviously the wings. With Kenku, it kind of depends on how, because everyone imagines their Kenku slightly differently. For example, in my home game, there is a Kenku in the party of the game of the Rime and Frost Maiden game I'm running, and that player basically has their Kenku is like a literal bird almost. They don't have like a humanoid posture. And instead of having little clawed fingers, they almost have the kind of feather fingers, if that makes sense. Like when the feathers themselves kind of are malleable like fingers. Whereas other people I know do their Kenkus more like the kind of Volo's Guide Kenkus, which are much more kind of, they've got much more kind of human postures, and they've got clawed arms rather than any kind of feathered wings. So it depends firstly on the approach like that. After that, it'll be a Frankenstein's monster of references that I will build. Often using a combination of body references, again, photographs, and like stock pictures of things like crows and cats and anything. Often I find with tabaxi, people have an idea of the type of cat their tabaxi looks like. So people will say, oh yes, my tabaxi looks like a very furry Persian cat in terms of their face. Or my tabaxi looks like a lynx. And that will very much inform the type of reference that I use. So it kind of depends on the specifics of how the character is imagining their character in their game. Because things like Kenku and tabaxi are very subjective. Alright, we're nearly there now. Alright, there is one wing. Currently we have a one-winged angel situation going on, but we'll sort that out. This needs to be a little bit more muscular there to match the other side. Yeah, that's better. But yeah, I do find references completely kind of changed the way that I painted. They made my life easier, they made my artwork more accurate, and they gave me a lot more confidence because I wasn't spending so much time erasing my work and starting again because I was frustrated that the body didn't look quite right. It meant I spent more time actually learning to do colouring and painting because the anatomy obviously makes a lot more sense if you kind of got the references to back it up. And speaking of references, like I say, I got a load of pictures this weekend at Fantasy Forest, this kind of Ren fair that I was talking about. And I was thinking of uploading a folder or giving access to a folder of, because a lot of the photos actually make good reference photos. So that I'll probably use some of them myself, to be honest. But I was going to make a folder of pictures available on my Patreon, if anyone is interested in that sort of thing. Oh dear, I've got the big sniffles right now. Zoom out a little bit and follow this line down here. I'm not worrying about crossing over lines that I've already done because I can just remove them nice and easy. Let's just do this little spine coming down here. See, I've started DMing a Curse of Strahd campaign, and unfortunately player commitments meant it kind of fizzled out. But I've never finished one. I've never finished a game of Curse of Strahd, either playing or DMing. Oh no, not the spicy sniffles. So if you want a little example of why I don't often do long, smooth lines in Photoshop, look at all these wibbles. Look at that all. Look at all those wibbles. I think it's a Photoshop thing. I don't think you'd get that on clip art or paint tool side. It is a really cool campaign, I must admit. I think for me, it's just that Ram the Frost Maiden just stole my heart, stole my entire heart with how cool the horror vibes were. The idea, like the harsh kind of survival side of the game. I'm just having so much fun running that one. And I'm determined to finish the campaign and make it to the end with my players. Oh, I'm really excited for Strixhaven. I wasn't actually like that jazzed, and then a friend of mine who's really into the kind of the dark academia style sort of thing like mentioned running a game of it, and I'm like, oh no, I suddenly have like 1,000,001 ideas, and I'm really jazzed for this. Because I do play MTG, so I kind of knew a bit about the setting, and I am Witherbloom. Witherbloom forever, for sure. With, you know, a little bit of Prismari because they're artists, but Witherbloom is just much more my vibe. Goth cottagecore is an aesthetic I can always appreciate. Yes, I definitely want to play, like, I basically want to make Harrow from the Locked Tomb trilogy as a Witherbloom mage, and just play, like, goth necromancer, like, edgy kid who doesn't make friends. Oh, I'm so excited for it. At the same time, I really want to play a bard and just be that annoying preppy kid. And like, this is a school for wizards, sure, but I'm here for like the bard course, the bard college course, which is like a really small course that no one really, it's like being at art college and all your friends are at like university studying medicine. Which was actually an experience I did have. Fromkin the Faking, thank you so much for joining us today. See you next time. That sounded really creepy, sorry about that. Yeah, that's the thing. The group that would run it, totally also Gideon the Ninth fans, so I could definitely persuade one of the other party members to play a total jock and be Gideon. Or I could be the Gideon and someone else can play the Harrow, because I need that dynamic in my life. No spoilers, but read Gideon the Ninth. Well, that's the thing, like, the campus I studied on at uni was Falmouth University. I studied at Falmouth. But we share our campus with Exeter University. Basically Exeter is a scientific based, mostly, or university, or at least it's a very academic university, and Falmouth is, mostly it's fine art and illustration, so it's very, like, free spirit. It was just such a fun juxtaposition having both of these very different unis sharing this one campus. Okay, I think that is all of the lines lined. So there we have the complete lineup for this delightful character who has brought me a lot of joy. I'm just going to go in and just tidy up there. Okay, and then I'm going to save. And I think, based on the fact that we've been going for our usual kind of time of an hour and a half, I think that is probably where I will leave it for tonight. So, thank you all so very, very much for joining me today at a slightly different time from normal. I'm very grateful to everyone who joined for tonight. It's been really chill, really nice, and I might start doing some 8 PM streams in the future if this is a time that works for people, because it seems to have worked for some folks. So, let's pop some links in chat. If you want to keep up to date with when I'm streaming, and obviously updating about what time I'll be doing streams, do consider giving me a follow on Twitter. It's sort of my social hub where I'll be posting about commissions, giveaways, all that sort of thing. I also do have an Instagram. Please give me a follow over on there if you are a big Instagram user. Sometimes it's a better way to kind of show art. Next up, my YouTube channel needs updating. So I will be updating that with some previous VODs and indeed tonight's VOD very soon, so do keep an eye on that one. And then the music that you've heard in tonight's stream is all by an artist named Kai Engel. They do wonderful royalty-free ambient music that I really recommend for streaming and D&D. It's just great stuff. And finally, last but not least, if you want to throw a bit of support my way and help me continue to do this for my full-time job, basically, please consider throwing me some support on either Patreon or Twitch subs. If you have a Twitch Prime sub lying around that you haven't used yet, do consider throwing it my way, or to any other small streamer. We really do appreciate it. But anyway, I think that is all for tonight. I will be back next week, fingers crossed, on Wednesday at 5 PM GMT, my usual slot time. And until then, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, look after each other, and I will be back very soon. So until then, good night!